Greetings everyone, this is Ohio Dan. This is going to be a short PSA type of video that's going to be unscripted. And it's kind of a result of a video that I watched from Tivor here recently, the voice of reason. He does YouTube videos occasionally still. And in this video, he was just basically showing how completely out of control some of these interactions with women can be, the standards being so high, the kind of idea that trying to make a long-term relationship work in this day and age is just not really feasible, or at least that's what I gathered from it. But the main thing I took out of the video was this clip where there was yet another woman talking about the red pill and saying that, well, things are safe now. I think she actually used that phrase. And now that you understand the red pill, you need to stop blaming women and you need to stop being so resentful. You can't hate women. You need to get back out there and try and all that kind of stuff. And this is something I've seen, especially over the past couple of years, over and over again, where you have these mostly women, men will say this type of thing every now and then, but it's mostly women who will come out and say, oh, well, now that you know the red pill, you're safe now, you're protected, so you can go back to dating, or things are better now because you have this information and now you can go date with your eyes open, and that kind of nonsense. And I basically just want to point out as a PSA that this is BS. The whole idea that things are better now between men and women, or safer somehow, is just a bunch of nonsense. There's literally no evidence for that whatsoever. And these women are just chameleons. They're just acting like the situation has changed when it hasn't, in hopes that you'll start to lose your ability to actually observe the facts for what they are, right? They're just trying to throw you a curveball so that you go back to the so-called plantation. And I know that analogy is overused, but in this case it fits perfectly because that's exactly what these women are doing. They are simply trying to do whatever they can to get you to go back onto the plantation by using emotional arguments and pretending that things are different than what they are. And basically this PSA is to say, don't fall for that. Don't think that somehow the situation is better in terms of how men are being treated in this society with the laws, with the culture, the way that it is. Is no-fault divorce still a thing? Have the family courts been reformed? No. Then things are not better. Is the Duluth model still the main paradigm for determining who's guilty and who's a victim of domestic violence instead of actually looking to see who is being violent? Yes, that is still the paradigm. Things are not better for men. Are child custody laws different to where men are now getting custody 50% of the time over their children? No. Are women actually offering anything other than access to sex in terms of what they bring to the table in a relationship? No, they're not. Or if they are, it's only temporarily until you commit and then they don't have to do anything for you anymore. Has any of that changed? No. Have men been given reproductive rights to where if a woman has the right to my body, my choice in a particular circumstance, a man has the right to my money, my choice? No, men have no reproductive rights. And all the clamoring is about, oh, because Roe v. Wade has been struck down in the United States, women don't have the right to abortion of convenience anymore. What a travesty. That's the argument instead. Has Me Too been changed? Has it been reversed to where we say, no, we need to give men due process so that if a woman accuses him of something in the workplace, he doesn't just get fired because of listen and believe? Has that changed? No, it hasn't. Things are just getting more embedded into the laws and into the institutions and practices of our society to the point where there's very little reason for men to date in most cases. So all of this is just complete nonsense. That's the PSA, right? That's the announcement here, is that anytime a woman starts off this way, if she's talking about, oh, I understand men's issues, I understand the red pill, and I understand why men are walking away, but things are better now, and you have this knowledge, and you can protect yourself. So don't just give up on women. Men and women, we need to work together, and men and women can forge new partnerships now and all this kind of stuff because the red pill is somehow in effect. That's nonsense. It's like saying, if you've been wounded somehow or hurt yourself and you've got this gaping hole in your body and blood is profusely coming out. And I'm not trying to be gross. I have a tendency to be that way unintentionally sometimes. But if you need to go to the hospital because you were clearly wounded and you've clearly got a major injury going on that needs to be attended to, it's like saying, nah, I'm better. You're still bleeding all over the place. Nah, I'm better. Everything's okay now. I feel so much better than when I first cut myself, even though clearly I need medical attention in a dire way. No, it's all right. I don't need to go to the hospital now because I'm just going to say things are better. That's the complete sort of invention of this idea based on nothing other than how people want things to be. And in this case, based on trying to get men to go back to the plantation. That's all this is. Anytime, mostly a woman, but anybody really, leads off in a discussion with this type of stuff of men and women just need to work together. Men need to put all this stuff behind them that are red pill. They need to stop going their own way, or they need to stop deciding that they're just going to avoid the vast majority of women because there's nothing in it for them. Those men need to get over it, and they need to stop being bitter, and they need to realize that we need to work together. Anytime a woman says anything along those lines, everything else that she says following that is a bunch of shit. It is a bunch of nonsense. It is not based on any assessment whatsoever of what's going on in society around us, of what's going on for men in everyday life in any sort of actual capacity and in reality whatsoever. It's not what's taking place. It's just an attempt to try to get you to start thinking with your dick so that you think that the situation is improved. There is not an ounce of evidence to say that things have gotten better for men in terms of gender relations. The laws are the same. The culture is continuing to get worse. Men are still losing access to their children. Men are still being falsely accused of domestic violence. Men are still being falsely accused of sexual misdeeds in the workplace. They are still in these one-sided happy wife, happy life arrangements in their marriages where the woman doesn't have to do anything because she's liberated and she's a modern woman, but the man is still held by the traditional standards. All this is still in place. Things are not better. Just waving the magic wand and trying to use words like magic spells, as TFM used to say, will not change anything about the overall dynamic as it applies to men. Things are not better from anything I can see. And if there were actual evidence or facts to back this up, that might be a different story. But it's not. It's just shaming language and emotional nonsense. It's just, you need to get back out there. You need to get over your bitterness to women. You need to try again. You can't hold all women responsible. Not all women are like that. Anytime a woman starts saying men and women just need to work together, men just need to essentially process the red pill information and then get back out there anyway because there are good women and all that kind of stuff. Or the men within the men's community are just like the feminists. They're doing the same thing and they're not allowing us to get back together again and actually have a common goal and actually do anything positive. All that is nonsense. Anytime, in my opinion, that a woman or really anybody leads off with that or mentions that in the discussion, suggests that men can just somehow magically get back out there again, she is full crap to the brim. Everything else that she says is nonsense. And I think this is something that I've mentioned before kind of indirectly, or it's been part of a longer video series like with Lauren Southern and Bass FCZ. That was pretty much what Lauren Southern was saying something like a year and a half ago, where she was mentioning that we just need to work together and you just can't blame all women. It's all nonsense unless the laws and the culture improve. That has not happened. That is not likely to happen, in my opinion, in this society, probably ever. It could, but that's an argument or a debate for another time. But things have clearly not gotten better for men. And to say, well, now that you have this red pill information, you can apply that to have healthier relationships somehow. I mean, you can, if you know when to basically end the relationship. It does still give you good information that you can use, but it doesn't change what you're actually dealing with if you're associating with the average woman. It doesn't change or improve things between men and women in any tangible sense overall. You still have the situation as it is. And basically, again, to summarize what I'm saying, anytime that anybody, but in particular a woman, comes out and says this, that things are better now between men and women, I'm going to wave the magic wand and pretend like men and women can work together again, and you just need to get over the family courts being the way they are. You just need to get over the Duluth model applying the way it does. You need to get over one-sided reproductive rights. You need to get over gender roles that are skewed so far in women's favor to the point where women just literally don't do anything in relationships for the most part anymore. You just need to look past that and protect yourself and just go back out there and date again, or go back out there and find your partner and try to build a life with her anyway. She is disingenuous as fuck when she says that, and everything else that she says is a bunch of nonsense that you can disregard, because in that case, that type of person really is just trying to get you to go back on to the plantation. That person really is just basically telling you anything that she can, usually it's a woman, to get you to believe her and think that, well, everything's better now, so all this other stuff that I've already learned, I can just put that to the side and get back out there. Don't do that, guys. Use the knowledge that you have obtained in the process of becoming self-aware, so to speak, to continue to opt out of one-sided relationships. If you are going to date, or you're going to have some form of short-term relationships, or relationships that last for as long as they last, sure, you can do that if that's what you want to do. Do it on your terms, and if a woman's not willing to accept those terms, then that's her problem. There's no basis for a relationship then. But in terms of this idea that you can get back out there and be part of this conventional dynamic in any sort of healthy way, that's a bunch of nonsense. And any time that a woman, or a man for that matter, says that you as a guy just need to get over the red pill, you need to get over going your own way, you need to get over the knowledge that you've learned and just date anyway, or, oh, how dare you treat all women the same way and see them all as being the same, that's always 100% of the time, in my opinion, just an attempt to act like a chameleon, to get you to go back onto the plantation and to just fool you into doing something that's not actually good for you, because these women see that men are walking away and they don't like that, and they're just trying to use words as a magic spell to pretend that the situation is better than what it is. Things have not gotten better. They're not going to get better anytime soon, in my opinion. And most men are better off just opting out of the conventional or traditional relationship dynamic entirely. And no amount of saying that things have gotten better is going to change that. Anytime you see that in a discussion, and it's usually a woman that tries to make those points, you know that everything she says after that is a bunch of nonsense and BS, and you can pretty much disregard everything she's saying, in my opinion. And that's the public service announcement that I wanted to give in this video.